Sam to make his final decision regarding Max? Was it a sudden decision, or has he been thinking about it for a while? What clues do you find throughout the novel to support your position? I think that the turning point was when Max cut his hand at Andy's. I think that earlier in the night, Sam was getting a taste of his normal teenage life, and he loved it. But more importantly, Sam started to think that Max's life would be better if he had two parents, and if one of the parents wasn't him. And I do not think that, I think Sam could have definitely been a good father and given Max a good life, but I don't think that giving him up was a bad decision, and it sounds like Max grew up well, but I think Sam's decision was partially for himself, for his own future, but it was mostly a selfless decision because he wanted the best for his son.
I agree with Jillian. On page 174, Sam was like, it's my fault, my responsibility, that like, and that's kind of when like Max, he got hurt, and I do feel like Sam was thinking about it for like a while, and like, his top priority is that he wants Max to have a better life, and he doesn't feel like he can provide Max what Max deserves or what he thinks Max deserves or needs. But I also feel like there was like more to it than just that. I feel like he does want to go to college, and like even though he doesn't say, oh, I'm giving him up because of that, I feel like he does want to do all these other things too. But the top priority for like giving him up for adoption was so that he could have a better life.
I think the whole night at Andy's was kind of the turning point, not just the accident, because on page 194, when he's talking to Claire about giving up Max for adoption, he thinks to himself, and in a way I thought, it had been more to do with playing basketball with Andy, but I couldn't tell her that. So like even there, like he just kind of admits that like, and like just being with his buddies, like he missed all that. Like I think it was the whole night, not just the accident.
I agree with that, because like on page 172, when he was just laying in the grass, he was like thinking about his life and how it used to be and how he like really missed that. So I think like the whole night in general, like you said, was like the turning point, and then once Max like cut his hand, and that just like even made it like more dramatic, and that like this wasn't right.
And on that same page, it was when he was talking to Andy about the spaceship like exploding because of all the pressure, and I think that was him like in his head like, I'm finally kind of like being crushed by all of the pressure of all these things that I have to do, and like that was just him like letting kind of the world know like, okay, I'm done.
Going off of that, also when Sam was laying in the grass when he was playing basketball, he laid there like wishing that his biggest worry was to beat Andy in this game, other than having to worry about having a kid and having that in his mind.
And we can see that Sam might have been thinking about this even earlier than that night when they were at the mall, and on page 135, Sam wonders if Max would want to play hockey, and then Sam thinks about all the things that he couldn't do and couldn't give Max. So I think that was him kind of thinking about Max's future and what he'd want to do and if he'd be able to give that to him. So I think he'd been thinking about it for a long time.
Yeah, and then when he's telling Claire like that he's giving Max up for adoption, he was like, it's not just last night, it's all kinds of stuff I've been thinking about for a long time, and so that just like shows that it wasn't just like a sudden decision.
Yeah, another example of what Jillian was saying that I thought he had been thinking about it for a long time was on page 169. Kind of, Sam would always bring up when Max didn't notice him, so he said, Max was sitting in the middle of the floor surrounded by pots and pans. He was banging a spoon on the lid of one of the pots. He didn't even look up at me. So I think I just noticed that reoccurred a lot throughout the novel. So I think it was like Sam kind of feeling, I don't know, resentful of Max a little bit, that he wouldn't look at him. I'm not sure though.
I think that was more of him thinking Max doesn't need me, like Max could be with someone else.
Because I think he does that again when he picks him up from daycare maybe, and he's like, all the other babies like are happy to see their moms or like are crying when they have to get dropped off, but Max never reacted that way, so he thought that Max didn't even like care about him.
I think
think another like one of the first turning points was when he decided to take the ACT and think about a different future than what he had planned for himself. And I think that started him like thinking about different things.
I agree with Julian's point. I think that he showed signs of like him not being able to care for Max throughout the whole book. Like when they're at Gap and he got upset about like not being or like thinking about money. Like Claire wanted to spend it on an outfit, and Sam was thinking about other things, how he could spend the money in like a more like a wiser way. But that was not like giving stuff to Max. So like I think he just always in the back of his head knew that he was never gonna be able to like give Max everything, like give him the world, and I think that's what he wants from Max.
I agree with you. I think the most important part to focus on, was what you said, was in the back of his head. Like I think for the most part, he's not thinking about giving Max up until he actually, like in the end, he does. I think that it's subconscious that he's thinking through his head, because he's throughout the book he's super impulsive. Like when he has sex with Brittany on page 22, and then when he takes the SATs on page 46, and even when he like kisses Claire on page 98, every one of those decisions is super impulsive, and he decided them on a whim, even though he might have been thinking about them subconsciously.
We got 5 minutes left on the book.
Do you guys think if Sam was able to figure out a way to do college, like online college or something, like community college, while keeping Max and then being able to provide for him later on in life, if he got like a better job from going to college, like this is really out here, but like if that happened, do you think if he thought about that, like the other possibilities, if he, also like if his dad wasn't as down on him, and like if his dad encouraged him more to like push through and like go to college, do you think he would have been able to keep Max?
I look back to what I think Colin you said about how he was like, or I don't know, one of you guys said how when he was over at Andy's and he was like laying on the ground and all he could think about was that game. Like I think it would have been more of that thing. Like he still wants to live his life. He's still a young guy, and I think that still would have gotten to him, and he would have given him up in the end.
And like that situation, like everything that you said was really like completely opposite, I think, of what he has right now. So that would just kind of change the whole story. Like if it's basically like if he was in Claire's position, like he definitely would have gone to college, or like if he just had like everything that he didn't, I think that he would have. But like I don't know, I think that that's like too far of a stretch.
We never talked about what Brittany would have been like, I don't think. If you want to just go over that one on the first question. Is it like 1 minute left?
I don't think she would have been too good of a parent, in my opinion, just because, like, right from the beginning, she wasn't, like, all about taking care of, like, Julian at the time. And, like, so I feel like as time would have continued, she would have grown, like, further and further apart. And I just think it wouldn't have gone too well.
Yeah, going off of that, I put a quote down on page 130. Brittany said, "Sometimes I think if my mother could just shut up for like 2 minutes instead of constantly telling me what to do." So I don't think she could handle like the way her mom was also trying to parent Julian. So I don't think that pressure would have worked out well for her.
I think she would also like give up too easily, and like she would be able to handle it too well. I just don't think she has the right attitude to be a good mom.
And with just how controlling her mom was, I think that a lot of the parenting would have been like her mom's decisions and like her mom just telling her what to do. So I think that like their baby probably could have like lived a fine life, but it would have been like a lot really controlled by the grandma.
I think that would have been really similar to kind of Claire's situation is now too.
The one thing I think about Brittany is I feel like she would have had the better like situation of financially than Sam is put into, because she has both her parents still around and her dad has like a decent job at least. Or at least he's going to get transferred, so I don't know. Like, I feel like she would be better off with the support, even that she has 2 people compared to Sam's 1.
I also think though that because of how embarrassed her parents kind of were, she probably would be even more embarrassed. And like, cause if your parents are kind of that way, then most of the time you're kind of rub off like kind of how they are.
Yeah.
And so like we see that Sam is super embarrassed the whole story, so I bet you she would have been kind of the same way. It would have been tough.
That, and then because her parents are so embarrassed for, especially her mom, I think that she would not have had the support from mom